In the headlines, an incident of unlawful detainment of local construction workers by Chinese nationals is making the rounds after a video of the standoff was released on Thursday.
Chinaman came, he looked at the road, he said that we've got to fix it before we leave. And he instructed the officer at the gate to close the gate and don't let us out.
Fire destroys a house and car in the community of BRK1. And a representative from RG Group of Companies, the employer of 68-year-old Paul Smeno, who died in an accident on the Badalil, speaks up. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Friday, the 3rd of May, 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. We're on Flow, channel 117, also being simulcast on KISS FM, on our website, www.caribbeanhottv.com, and of course, on our free Caribbean Hot FM mobile app. I'm lovely Saint Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. An incident of unlawful detainment of local construction workers by Chinese nationals is making the rounds after a video of the standoff was released on Thursday. Freelancer Christopher Hunt is the man behind the camera and is hoping to shed light on a matter which he says should have never happened in St. Lucia.
A controversial video has emerged showing what appears to be a case of unlawful detainment of a number of workmen at a Chinese residence in the north of the island. The incident was filmed by local freelancer Christopher Hunt in late February, and the information states that employees from St. Lucian contractor Reino Kajada were hired to carry out construction work on site at what is said to be the Chinese embassy. In the 9-minute video, Hunt interviewed a small group of employees who gave details about what transpired.
You see the vehicle mash up his road. So you want his road fixed. You want the boss to come and fix up his road first before the vehicle can come outside there. The excavator doesn't work for them. Right? So you see, you don't want the excavator to track any asphalt. You want the truck to back up inside of there. So I back up inside of there and I load the machine. He came and he looked. You see, the truck mashed up my road. So you have to get the boss to fix that road before I can go. He tell the officer to close the road, close the gate. I'm not living there. And that's it.
And he's still inside there right now as we speak.
He's still inside of there as we speak.
Is it true that you all were stuck inside of the embassy there? Yes, we were stuck in because after loading the equipment, Chinaman came, he looked at the road, he said that we've got to fix it before we leave. And he instructed the officer at the gate to close the gate and don't let us out. We had to fix the road first. And he is still right there right now? Yes. And and all of you all were locked inside for about how long? We were there from 1 o'clock. So you all have been locked inside of that facility, yes, the Chinese embassy, from 1 o'clock? Yes. He said that we cannot get out.
When asked to specify the damages done, which led to the detainment, the workers pointed towards a row of tire marks left by one of the construction vehicles on the concrete grounds near the entrance of the residence. During the time of taping, a member of the company's management, Anselm Closel, was still being held inside the compound against his will. The police were eventually called to the scene, and a show of defiance from one of the Chinese residents was on full display.
So these are what he locked the truck inside for?
That's right. He said my boss had to fix that before the truck can go outside. I noticed it looked like the asphalt was probably hot or something. And as I drive, you know the little tire marks that's living that. It's just brush away with a broom.
So a senior official from the company comes up together with the police to try to resolve the matter. His official expresses his concerns about the damages, while the company official takes umbrage to holding his workers inside the property against their will, as well as keeping the equipment locked behind the gate.
This is right. Okay? Police is right. Okay, that's not the way that we do. Where is police? You cannot hold my police is right. Tell him, come police is right.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Couple Noel from the Special Service Unit. Okay. Can you open up your gate for me, please?
Why? Boss, I'm inside of your property. You are treating.
Okay, you can't go out.
How you mean why?
Yeah, your car. Police commission. What's that? Police, your car. You just receive it. You just received the call. No, listen. This is the police. That's who? Okay, who's Hillary?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Who's
He's
Henry Emmanuel?
He's a leader in this police station.
Listen. Who's Henry Emmanuel?
Emmanuel is the person in charge of the groceries police station.
No, he's not. He's not. ASP
Okay,
Bill
you
is
can
in
speak
charge.
to him.
Take my cell phone in my...
Near the end of the video, Hunt could be heard asking the resident a few questions and then ended by asking viewers one more.
Now I'm angry. I wasn't angry
You
when
take
I came.
picture for me. You are violating my personal
No,
privacy.
you started doing it first.
So
I never take
You
picture.
start,
it's not a violation to have workers stuck inside.
I'm taking the case.
It's not a violation to have workers locked inside a place. What if they had to get home to their families? What if the people that you locked up from 1 o'clock? What if they had to get home to their families?
You should have let me to tell the story from the beginning, okay?
What gives you permission to be locked? Why can you lock them inside? That's the question.
You should have let me tell the
There is
story.
no scenario that allows you to lock people inside of a building, inside of a premises. From 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, the fellas locked inside. They have no scenario. If I locked you or locked your family inside of a private property, you would be vexed too. Here's a jail. Question for you, St. Lucia, is very simple. Is this right? Is this how our people should be treated in our own land?
Whilst the residence is being referred to as the Chinese embassy, St. Lucia has not shared diplomatic relations with China since 2007. The incident came to an end at around 6 p.m. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I'm Rochelle Gonzalez.
Thank you, Rochelle. Now, the senior staff member who was seen on camera being held against his will and then subsequently released by the Chinese national says he is seeking legal advice on the matter. Anselm Clozel is one of 6 employees of Renault Construction and Industrial Products who was involved in the matter, which was recorded by Christopher Hunt. He gave his version of the incident, which took place in February.
Some time back, there was a situation at the former Chinese residence in Rosalie, involving a couple of my workers and some equipment there that was seized, for want of a better word, seized by the gentleman in question, the Chinese gentleman at that residence. And what happened after? I was called to the scene. Upon arriving there, the gentlemen were already released, and then after introducing myself, almost the same situation followed, where I was held captive inside of the premises and not allowed to leave.
Clozel says he has sought legal advice on the issue.
Right now, the matter is in the hands of my lawyers, so they will be the ones dealing with that. So there's not too much more that I can say on the matter.
The standoff ended on a peaceful note and no arrests were made on the day. In other news, the Department of Health and Wellness confirms the departure of the cruise ship which contained a confirmed case of measles. The ship departed on the night of the 2nd of May for its home port in the Dutch Caribbean. Prior to its departure, the International Health Regulations focal point in St. Lucia had direct communication with counterparts in the home port. Full details of St. Lucia's public health and epidemiological interventions were shared. Given the highly infectious nature of measles, along with the possibility that other persons on board the vessel may have been in contact with the person who was infected, the Ministry of Health took the decision to quarantine the vessel. Dr. Merlin Frederick has explained that St. Lucia was well within its rights to do so, and she issues caution to the public on the continued threat of measles.
We'd like to remind everyone that measles is a vaccine-preventable disease. There are some diseases that we can do very little about, but there are particular diseases which can be prevented if persons take the vaccine. And we know that measles is one of those diseases. St. Lucia has not had a confirmed case of measles in the country since 1990. And when I say a confirmed case of measles, I'm talking about where someone actually got measles locally whilst in St. Lucia. So that hasn't happened since 1990. And we believe it's largely because we have continued to immunize our population. And as such, we encourage all persons, in particular parents, to ensure that their children are vaccinated to prevent this disease from occurring.
Measles is spread through droplets from the nose, mouth, or throat of infected people who cough and sneeze. Early symptoms include high fever, runny nose, red eyes, and tiny white spots on the inside of the mouth. A rash may then develop starting on the face and upper neck and then spreading throughout the body. The disease can be particularly severe in young children who are not immunized. Infection with measles can be prevented if people are fully immunized against the disease. The charred remains of a section of an apartment building and a car remained after a fire on Friday, the 3rd of May, in the community of Bocage. The fire that threatened both lives and property could have been catastrophic. However, the quick response of the St. Lucia Fire Service swiftly curtailed the blaze, preventing more damage. Solange Alfred tells us more in this report.
A simple spark turned into an uncontrollable blaze on Friday, May 3rd. Resident of Bocage, Myron Zephyrin, recounts the sound that triggered his curiosity and led him to discover an inferno ignited from a recently purchased vehicle and moving towards the apartment complex he calls home. Zephyrin notes that no one was injured and the section of the apartment burnt down was unoccupied.
Well, I was downstairs and I heard a spark and I came upstairs and I saw that the car was on fire. And by the time I saw it, I called the fire engine and the fire was so big that it ended up catching the van fire and also the structure. It ended up catching on the other side.
Did anybody help when the fire?
Well, people tried to use hose, but it was no help. It was the fire engine that had to really come and get rid of it.
How was the response time?
Very good.
Thankful that no one was injured was apartment owner Innocent Snack. He says the housing complex is more than 20 years old and the unoccupied apartment was being readied for an upgrade.
Well, the section that burned down, I had it as an apartment and I just had it closed like a close-up place, right? So I just had just a few windows I had in there, a door, electric door and stuff, so, and a few little things I had there, not nothing much.
Sanak, coming to grips with the situation, reflected on the necessary steps needed to return a sense of normalcy to his tenants.
I feeling comfortable about that because my place, I don't expect to come there and see my place like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do next?
Well, I have to check what's going on because I can't decide right now there because I have tenants there. Right now they have to try and get the current back and everything back. And I know that is a thing you have to go back and re-inspect and do all kind of things. So that is money that have to talk there.
Residents of Bocage showered praises on the quick response of the St. Lucia Fire Service Department for subduing the blaze and controlling what they say could have been a devastating fire. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Thank you, Solange. This is the Hot 7 Nightly News. Still to come, in the wake of the Three Winds cruise ship quarantine at Port Castries, St. Lucia has become the talk of the international news. And a representative of Renault Group of Companies speaks on the accident that claimed the life of a former worker. That and more coming up after the break.